Hi, and welcome to the Reiki from the Farm podcast, brought to you by me, Pam Allen-LeBlanc from Hidden Brook Farm. I am a scientist, a businesswoman, and a licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training. Each week in this podcast, you'll be entertained as you learn about a wide variety of relevant Reiki topics, helping you become a more knowledgeable and effective Reiki practitioner. We caution you, though, this podcast may also dramatically improve your life, and we are so happy that you're here. All right, welcome everyone to this month's Reiki Share and this week's podcast. We're so excited that you're here because Joanne and Helen and I have just spent the entire week sequestered in Campobello working on our card deck. Now, this card deck is something that's been in the works. It's something my horses asked me to do 2 years ago, actually, on June 21st. It was Breaker Dawn. It was her end of life. Some of you might remember some of our podcasts around that time because she had so many messages for us. And she showed me that we needed to do a card deck. And Lynn says she loves your art, Helen, which we all love Helen's art. And I never got to it. And then you all know, or many of you know, that I lost my hard horse, Big Bud, last May, right after Mother's Day, and 8 days later lost Star. And that was just a really clear, like, it needed to start. I had to stay in the grief for a bit, but Helen and I connected in September. And I actually thought I was connecting with Helen to talk about a children's book around the horses. And as I always do, I listened to Reiki, and Reiki just had everything about the card deck. So I'm really excited to share some of these cards with you tonight. Before we get too far, I just wanted to let you know what we've got coming up at the farm. I'm leaving tomorrow for Omega Institute for the Wisdom of Reiki conference. Really looking forward to that. We've got our big classes coming up in August. We've got a full week with Reiki 1 and 2 and Masters, and there's a day in between. The Monday in between is when I'm spending a day with you to show you the island. So either stay a little longer from your level 1 class or come early for your master class so that we can spend a day exploring this magical, gorgeous place. Following that, in August, we've got our Animal Reiki 1 and 2 and Masters, same deal with the Monday in exploring the island together and going whale watching, by the way. Even though we may see whales from the living room window as we do the class, when we get you out on the water whale watching, you're definitely going to see whales and porpoise and seals and eagles and herons and just all of the beautifulness that exists on this island. And then that's actually followed for the first time in Campobello. I am teaching animal communication 1, 2, 3, and master. And the same thing, with a nice day together in between level 1 and 2 and level 3, where we can explore the island. So I hope you can join us for some of that. The August classes, for a couple of the classes, our Airbnb is getting full. I think just the level 1 and 2 class, I think we're either almost full or we're full, but we do have a 5-bedroom Airbnb that you can book a room with and stay at just to save some costs, and would love to have you join us. And then in October, those classes are both online and in person. In October, we've got a full lineup of all of the classes on the farm, and the level 1 and 2 classes are in person and online. The master classes are online only over the evenings. I hope you can join us for some of those, but my mind is definitely on those Campobello classes. We still do have 18 things to do to get the Airbnb ready. My son has a list, and the girls were asking, did you get any of the 18 knocked off? And I was like, no, because even though I painted the ceiling, it needs a second coat. And even though so there are still 18 things, even though we're working at it, but we will be getting there pretty soon, I think. Aside from that, you guys. Also, the Reiki business classes are going really well. Just a shout out to all of those who are in those classes. Last night, we had folks in the office hours sharing their success stories, and people are just blowing me away. It's so exciting. But for now, let's settle in and let's talk a little bit about this card deck. And I do want to let you know that at the end of our time together, we are going to draw a card or a simple spread. Joanne is our person who knows all about that. And so we're going to be looking to her for she's been designing and developing these incredible spreads. We'll be telling you a bit about those. And we are to draw a card for everyone here today. Justina's got angel bumps everywhere about that, you guys.
Good.
So we are going to be doing that. And then we are actually going to go into a meditation where you can connect with the horses and come away with some of their wisdom yourself. Now, that being said, I want to let you know that we are having a hard time nailing down the name for this deck. So as you step into this energy, and as you feel it and experience it, I want to ask you or invite you to stay on toward the end of our time together because I've got a poll with some suggestions. But I also am hoping that maybe I just really feel that you guys have the name and that as we work this through and as you feel in the energy, I know that you can help us with the name of the deck, the title of the deck, and also the subtitle. And we also, actually, Joanne, could I ask you to grab that lovely piece of art and show? We also created a piece of art as part of our ritual of getting the deck together. It's rather large. And this art is only missing words. There are a number of words that we believe are associated with this work. And so, again, thank you. We did it in the dark by a campfire last night as we were burying crystals, just so you know, with the ocean and just the light of the campfire and the most beautiful sunset. A sunset where there was a beam of light going up into the heavens. It was just everything about it was blowing our mind. But what's missing from that art is that we do want to put the words that are associated with the deck. And we have some ideas, but we really are hoping to get your feedback and get the words that you would use. And that's what we still have yet to put on our one. This is one of many transmission pieces for this deck. So just to start, let's just go ahead and activate Reiki and invite it to be with us and invite it to participate with this energy. You all know that my horses are Reiki horses, and they've actually demanded. It wasn't really a request as much as a demand that we get started with this deck. And what we find is that when people come to Hidden Brook Farm, they receive profound healing with my horses. The horses have Reiki. We've also been working together in collaboration. I'll tell you a little bit about that. And they are always very invested in helping people who join us heal from even and especially the really big stuff that people can sometimes not get through or get to in therapy and with other things. And I've been witnessing it since I guess I started teaching with my horses in 2007, and we really started stepping heavily into this work in 2009. And so I guess I've been witnessing it for over 15 years now. And we're very used to it, but the horses are ready to reach a larger audience. They want to make that really profound healing available to all of you. So with that in mind, I'm just going to invite everybody to just place your hands on your heart and just go ahead and activate Reiki. And just feel your feet on the ground, roots moving from the bottoms of your feet deeply into the earth. Feel yourself rooted and grounded as we call in the elements of earth, air, fire, and water If you have holy fire, invite it to join you now. And we also invite Di, any other horses who wish to participate in this, to join us today, or any other animals as well. And for you listening afterward, your horses, your animals. One of the things that the horses have shown us is that while they've been with us for millennia, many times they are unable to reach their true potential because they are held back and held in. And they often lack the freedom to reach their true potential. And they've drawn some parallels for us, and they've made us look at where in our lives we have been held back and what the impact of that has been. One of the things that I've noticed about the horse healing and the horse wisdom is that it's not always as gentle as Reiki. It really causes us to look at and explore our shadow for the strength and the messages and the learning and growing and beingness that are there for us. Our hidden work courses invite you to be open to the wisdom that their species has to impart upon us. For any time we're open to the wisdom of another species or even our own, we are going to learn and grow from these new perspectives. And maybe there's something that has been bothering you in your life. Allow it to come forward in your mind now. And you may even wish to form an intention around this, inviting the learning and growth and resolution, and inviting the assistance of the horses in this. And you may notice that you can feel things moving and shifting within you, even the instant that you form the intention. And I'm going to invite you not to brace, not to resist, just to simply allow. And the word we will use quite a lot tonight is allow. Allow this energy to move through you. Because one of the things we know from the horses and from what they told me in Animal Reiki, as we were creating that course, is that their purpose in being in our lives is to see us empowered. They love to see us step into our power. As we look at a horse and we honor their grace and their strength and their courage and their power, there's a reason it's called horse power. They can teach us to step into our power the way that they can and have stepped into theirs. And so with that in mind, we come back together now, and we allow the energies to begin shifting and moving and the insights to come. Even as we move into our podcast today, aware that our final meditation will also likely bring healing. Namaste. I think that we've been working so hard with the deck, and we've literally been to the abyss and back, having to face our own shadows this week in at a depth that we've never had to do up till now. We've managed to avoid up until now. And we're just so excited to share all of this with you. So I want to start just with introducing Joanne and Helen and where and the why and all of that around the card deck. For me, it was just a very clear vision after Breaker Dawn passed. She showed you're to do this, you're to share your horses more fully with the world, our herd. We had a herd of 12. And then 2 years ago on the summer solstice, it was Breaker Dawn. She had chosen her time to go. And yet when Buddy and Star went later the following year, I realized, oh, I actually really have to do something about this. And I knew all along that I needed an artist that could really capture the horses. And I've been in awe of Helen's art for a very long time. And so I reached out to you, Helen, and said, hey, I think we're supposed to do this together. I just wonder if you can take it from there.
Yeah, no, I
Nope,
think you're under.
you're good.
You're good.
When you speak, it'll capture
Oh,
with the
okay,
microphone.
good.
Yeah,
All new
you're
to
good.
me.
I think you can all hear Helen. If you want to put a thumbs up, you
Oh,
can let
okay,
us know,
great.
but yeah,
Yeah.
everybody, yeah. And so, yeah, I called you up and said, hey, Helen, I think we're supposed to do this together. And what did you say?
Yes.
You didn't ask any questions or anything. You just said yes.
No, there have been kinds of things moving in my own life. Not know I knew at some point, I think you had said someday, but my own heart horse, it wasn't I didn't own this horse or anything. It was a horse that I had a partnership in a way with for 13 years, was moved out of the state. So I was in my own grief when Pam lost, that happened at the same time. But so that summer, I had a group of people that met at my house on Tuesdays, like at 11. And anyway, I felt guided to just end that. We'd met for 10 years. It was just like off the calendar. Goodbye. It's weird. But then a month later, Pam called and said she'd like to do these Zoom meetings to go through the deck. And that literally, because I still work full time, that was the only time in the week that we could all meet. It was exactly the time I had booted my friends out of my house. So anyway, I was very pleased to have a focus to have horses in this way, in the spiritual and healing, and horses dedicated to that work for humans, and felt completely compelled to be a part of it.
And I want to go back a little further, Helen, to how we met. Would you mind telling that story?
Yes, I was very shy, very anyway, it was a hard time in my life, but anyway, and I think it was 2016. I had a couple of people I was meeting with to create a vision, and they were saying, what do you really want to do? And I had this Reiki magazine. I was probably just barely eked it out, but it was Pam's article on her Reiki and her horses and everything. And I said, I want to study with her. And so I started calculating airplane ticket, $700. And I'm like, oh my God, I'll never be able to afford it. But the money came in, and I flew up in 2017 and studied for 10 days. I was in an Airbnb in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada.
She came all the way
Running
from
back and forth to the
Minneapolis.
farm.
So I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Since you're going to be here and you want to do all the work, I'll just put all my clinics together at once so that you can get everything. If you're going to invest 10 days, we'll make it count. And I didn't give her, I think I gave you a few hours to just be alone with the horses. Otherwise, I kept you working.
Yes, I had a date with Simba. And then I had a date with them all. And I had Simba was very informative, but also when I was there every night, those horses came to me in the night. And I'm like, what are you doing? I had no experience like that. But so there was just a lot
for you, and
I felt like they were testing me out for this project. Is she any good? Is she going to do it? Can we count on her? every night. Did she get the message? But it was all new to me. I never had horses come to at me like that in that way, but
Yeah.
it was all very interesting. So yeah, so I did the 10 days. I did every single thing with Pam. What Pam said, I did. And then I went home. And then life has never been the same.
Hasn't been.
I-
And you came back again,
In
and so
2019,
yeah,
I took another Reiki class, but then I also took the animal communication class and met Amy there, who was from Ohio, and we got assigned to be practice partners.
that was
So,
back when everything was in person, before anything
yes.
had gone
Yeah,
online.
no, this was
So
in the
they,
spring of 2019.
yeah, I said, you guys have traveled furthest. You're
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah. And we've actually maintained that relationship ever since.
In fact, Amy's horse is probably going to be in the deck. She is in the deck.
Yeah. We got permission and
We
yeah.
have, yeah.
But so anyway, so those are my two trips here. So this is my third time, never in the what I thought I'd be flying 3 times to Fredericton. But it's been profound. And plus my painting teacher where I learned a new technique is also a Canadian who lives in Nanton, Alberta, Diane Williams. She paints the spirit of horses. So I have a thing for the Canadians, but Minnesota's right next door.
That's right.
So maybe
And we're literally right next door. And one of the funny things this week is that I forgot to tell Helen that in one part of our house, it's Eastern time for Maine, and in another part of the house, it's Atlantic time for New Brunswick, because Maine is right there, and it keeps swapping back and forth. So you're not really sure what, unless you set your time manually, which is what I do, you really don't know what time it
No.
actually is. So for somebody time challenged like me, it's really fun.
Yes. But I just want to say I did take what I learned from Pam and attuning the Reiki to horses. I took that back to the herd that I was allowed to visit and been doing that since 2012. So I think they were, especially the horse that was the heart horse that left. I think she was in cahoots with Storm and they figured out get her up there. So anyway.
Well, Helen, we're just delighted that you're here. And while we're going to go through these a little bit more, I just want to share with you how amazingly Helen has captured the horses in my herd. Some of you know them, this Merlin. And her every week she uploads paintings into our shared Dropbox, and Joanne and I wait.
Yeah.
And we check on it frequently, because every time this is Chief, she uploads a horse, Jasper. They are breathtaking. This is Lizzie.
She threw me for a loop.
The rain is not here
She's
yet.
still throwing me, but
She's being elusive. And the horses had very clear, this is when the actual northern lights came to my farm. These are some of the photos that we got, and Helen has recreated those.
that's Amy's
This
horse.
is Amy's horse that we were mentioning. This is Breaker Dawn, who started this whole thing going with all of her beautiful energy. And in fact, the last time I was at Omega, we had to say goodbye to Breaker Dawn, and the next day I got her buried and everything. And the next day I headed down to Omega to present in the Wisdom of Reiki conference, and it really was very healing for me. This is another honey, and this is
Lilia.
This is Lilia. This is your horse, Helen. This is Lilia saying goodbye to her daughter.
Yeah, Veska.
There's Dawn again, being just all cosmic and
Yeah.
profound, and Star. And this
Is a wild Mustang named Haneke. Yeah, she was rounded up in Nevada and was supposed to have been turned back wild because she's 16 years old, but they didn't. And so she ended up now in an equine sanctuary in New York at Equine Advocates.
There's another Merlin. This is Blue. No, you're going to hear a little bit about this card, actually. And this is one of our Sable Island stallions.
Yeah, my painting teacher won the lottery and got to go to Sable Island and took all these photographs. And so I took a class and we painted that stallion that was from Sable Island.
And Sable Island is off the coast of Nova Scotia. And it's actually just across the water, actually, from where we are right now. And so he also wanted to be in the deck. So we've got two very different wild horses in the card deck, and we're really excited about that. Yeah. And Helen and I only met for a couple of times, and I said, we need another intuitive person. We're all intuitive, but we need another intuitive person who's really intuitive and who really understands card decks, because we understand horses and painting. And I knew immediately who we needed. Joanne, I'm going to let you tell that story, because before I even asked you, my horses told you.
Yes. So I attend Pam's lessons on Thursday evening. It's my sacred time. I go every Thursday. And there was one evening walking in the field, and I just heard the voice, and Dawn popped in and was like, "You're gonna make a card deck." And I was like, "Okay."
That doesn't make any sense at
Like,
all.
all right, can't say no, but sure, we'll just see what happens. And then literally as I'm driving out the driveway of a beautiful night, I receive a message from Pam and was like, I don't know how this is all gonna happen, but I got a message and that you're to help with the card deck. And I just was like, I had to pull the car over. I was just so floored. And all I responded was, yes, I have to do this. I'm terrified as all get out to be out and seen and even talking on something like this. But I trust, and I know Pam, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Pam has a really good way of pushing people a little out of their comfort zone. Yeah, or something really big like this. So it just it was a few months, and even maybe even longer. And I was just like, I'm just not going to mention anything and see what happens. And then it was after Bud and Star.
After Bud and Star
Then
passed.
things started to really kind of pick up. And
Yeah.
I believe it was in the fall, you were like, hey, Joanne, you want to come join this meeting once a week? And I was like, yep. And I was there the next Tuesday. It just worked perfectly.
So we have met since last, I guess Helen and I, well, since
September?
last October.
October?
We have met at from 1 to 2:30 every Tuesday, pretty much, unless
Mm-hmm.
one of us is away.
Yeah.
And we just have listened for, I get, what is that, a year and a half? It's coming on to 2 years now. We've just been listening. And then we said, okay, it's time to create. So we took this week. Helen flew from Minneapolis. I totally forgot that I was going to Omega tomorrow. But it all worked out just the same. And we got together here on Campobello. I knew that we spent a little bit of time with the horses, and then they know that we can talk to them from a distance. I knew we needed to get someplace really quiet and creative. And so we came down here to Campobello Island. I forgot my passport, even though Helen reminded me 6 times. And the car was packed with art supplies and food and and then I was bringing things for the house and stuff like that. Stopped and visited my dad on the way. And just a real quick note, because some of you have been sending Reiki to my dad, thank you so much. I am floored. I just found out yesterday that he is going home, not to the hospital at home. He's just had a hip replacement, and he had been in the hospital. He was quite unwell. He's been in the hospital since January. And next Monday, he will be home at his house, which I'm just floored. I did not expect that. So I'm really thrilled with that. So we stopped and saw my dad on our way, and then at the hospital where he's recovering from his surgery, a little ways away from his home. And then we've been here, and we just simply got here and got to work. And we dug in. We did go to Eller's Tea. You can't come to Campobello without going and being inspired by Eleanor Roosevelt. And when I'm at Omega, I am going to go over to Hyde Park and visit their property there as well. but we've just got to work and so much. Gosh, I'm not kidding when I said we had to face our own shadows. It was really, sometimes were really hard. And it's been just a real roller coaster of a week, honestly,
Yeah.
with just highs and lows and your belly dropping out at times.
Yeah.
And I've been starving. I haven't stopped eating, just, but it feels really good to sit and create. And we're going to share a bit of that with you. But before we do, just wondering, Joanne and Helen, if you can share a little bit about what were your impressions of the week and maybe what was the biggest lesson that you took away? So, whichever one of you wants to go first.
Just, I think the fact that it was such a roller coaster. To, I wasn't expecting for it to be such a personal experience of going through everything. I had no idea that I was going to get visited by a card each night, in depth, very in depth. And just, it actually showed me, the horses showed me like how to work through something in such a supportive and collective, nurturing way. These two lovely ladies were with me in the day, and it's like the herd was with me at night. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And I know for me personally, I had a day where I was just really out of sorts, let's say. And I was like, you know what? I just need to go for a walk. And so I went for a walk on the beach. Actually, first, let me back up. I was trying to like forcing myself almost to connect with the cards instead of just kind of letting it be. And then
Instead of allowing.
yeah, instead of
Yeah.
the allowing, yes,
Mm.
thank you.
Yeah.
And I actually grabbed the card Peace Breath, which is Merlin.
Who you work with.
Yeah, who I'm a little partial to, let's be honest. And it's just such a funny, clever little card. I love him. But I was like, he's take me for a walk. And so I literally
Took
took
the
the card and went for a walk. And it was just like his presence was like even stronger with me. It was just so beautiful. And I went to the beach and looking for sea glass, which I found so much sea glass here. It's unbelievable. And Pam was telling me the night before, there's certain colors that are really hard to find, like blue's challenging, green, and red. You'll never find red. And so I'm sitting on a rock and everything comes up. And it's like, what am I doing? I'm not good enough for this. Who do I think I am? Like, I can't be doing something like this. I'm not a professional in any way. And I was like, universe, I'm going to make this hard. I was like, if if this is my true path, if everything is going as according, show me a piece of red sea glass. I just put it out there. And
when she told me that, I'm like, I have been here 4 years and I've never found red sea glass. It's impossible. You can't find it.
yeah.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I do. So, of course, I found it within minutes. And it's in the shape of a heart. I don't know if you could pick that up, but a little piece of red sea glass heart. And it was like the floodgates opened, and I had the most therapeutic cry on the beach. But when I found this little red heart, I just first burst out laughing because it was like, I can't believe you just did that to me.
I was trying to trick the universe and it wasn't going
I'm
to be
trying
quick.
to do my thing of escaping like, and hiding and making myself small. But they're like, nope. And so Merlin and I sat there and we did a little meditation and we laughed, we cried, and but I wasn't alone during any of it because he was right there. And it was just so beautiful. So I don't even remember what your question
That was
was,
the answer.
but that's just something to experience with the cards.
And you said you weren't alone. And one of the things that we've been talking about as we've been listening and to what the horses want us to share with all of you is that with a horse, you are really seen. They see into the depths of your being and they don't judge. They don't care who you are as long as you are who you are. They demand your authenticity. And so I think for that reason, I think that's why we have found horses to be so healing. They also have no agenda. They really don't care my horses do like to see people progress and move forward, but they're not trying to convince you of anything. They're very aware of your truth, even if you're not, and they'll mirror it to you until you can see it. And I've just been witnessing and watching them do this in real time and with people for so long. And now this deck is a way that this becomes accessible to even more people. But all three of us had a conversation around that, just about how we feel completely seen when we are with a horse. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was with you there.
He was. And you're seen, but you're also accepted fully as who you are. You're just welcome as is. You could be a blumbering fool. You could be
which I often am, by the way. Quite
But
often.
yeah, you're just fully accepted and seen as you are. And that's the beauty of it.
You're right. What about you, Helen? What was your sort of impression and takeaways of the week? Maybe one of the biggest takeaways.
Well, having done teen paintings,
which is a lot.
I thought I had done a fair share of my work on the deck coming here.
You did.
But then all of a sudden, I think we need to write about the cards. And I'm like, you're supposed to be the writer. I did the art. Now you write. So I think right there brings up the experience of the herd between us, how to be a herd, how to work and navigate with each other. There's not strict, you can only be this and that, and you only do that. I was like, I don't know why I need to be there. I've done the paintings, and I can't paint there on Campobello. I don't have all my stuff, but it wasn't anything. I ended up going upstairs. I didn't know I do not consider myself a writer, people. It's been like a lifelong block I'll write my journal, but to really have it out there, I have a lot of wounds around writing that have happened in my life. Yeah, exactly. And now I know I'm not alone, but I did really have that. So I went upstairs and I just got locked up. I don't know where to even begin. But like I just started doodling and then just started writing what was a kind of free consciousness and then got into it. But with Joanne making the deck, she
made these decks.
Yeah, she made this for us.
These decks. And there's a symbol.
Yeah,
for the deck.
Portal.
Can you hold up the symbol?
The back one?
Oh, and there's a portal on the back of the decks, but then there's a symbol that came through, and I don't know if you guys can see it.
Can you see that?
This is the symbol that we've received, and it's around our inner authority, and it's also connects us with the oneness of all that is. And we've actually not only have we been learning more about each card and what we're to write on each card, but we've been learning more about the symbol and more about horse energy. It's just, I don't know, it's been a phenomenal week.
Blowing us out of the water, really.
Yeah, well, don't underestimate the back part of
and don't underestimate this portal.
Joanne has made this portal, but that's another story. We'll get to that. Anyway, so going up there and just easing in, and it felt like to run the Reiki and just hope for the best, just get going. But I just got there and just write Rex card, just writing. But I felt like the horses were there just telling me, talking to me, or as an example of what it would be like for a person working with them. And so I just was taking dictation, and I do better writing by hand. So it was all handwritten. But
and Joanne showed you the game changer.
Yes.
Take handwritten notes take
a picture and then have it
transcribed. Yeah.
So that was a beautiful boon for me, not to have to dictate it. That's what I have been doing because I do it better with handwriting than I would dictate it into a Google Doc. So this was even quicker. So I learned some IT tricks here, but also I think for each of us to maintain our voice and keep communicating, like pushing through the communication, but that's just part of it. The communication, we need a new language. We felt like we didn't have language to express what the horses are bringing to, I would say, evolutionize humans. I feel really, I think Lilia had some readings for me around that, like the horses that are dedicated to healing work are on a mission, and now is the time. And so there's another story. The first card was Storm was the first card, but we don't.
No, go ahead and start.
Okay.
Say that. Yeah.
I kept hearing, we had the call this Tuesday.
And these guys say they're not writers, by the way. And they come as we would all listen every week. And while we're here, we listen and then we share and I furiously take notes and we all share from 3 different perspectives. And it turns out, for those of you who are into human design, I'm a generator, a pure generator. A lot of you know that. Helen is a projector, and Joanne is a manifester. And so we have just such a different way of approaching it. And that's why I asked to write. I said, I want all of our perspectives in this. And so they're sitting there lying to you and telling you that they're not writers.
This is part of what the deck is kicking out.
Yeah. Because what they came back with would be profound. And I said, we have to, it's not just me, we're all listening. We have to have all of our voices. This is a community and we have to have all of our voices in this.
Well, we did have that moment where I was ready to just knife something. She was ready to run, and Pam, stay right here.
You're not going
They're not going anywhere, anybody.
I had to step into the leadership roles that Storm has been training me for.
Yeah. So it hasn't all been rainbows and
no, and puppies and rainbows, has it? No.
But beautiful sunsets.
It has been beautiful sunsets and beautiful birds and beautiful walks on the beach when we needed a break. And some Snickers ice cream bars every once in a while to keep us fueled. But but it's been, and then when we would get through it, sometimes we just felt just completely emptied. And then we would go on to the next thing and come back in a place of euphoria. So it's
it's been moving forward.
Yeah. But tell them about the Art Has to Start.
Yeah. We had our call. It was the last week of January. Tuesday we had our Zoom call. And I said, because I'm feeling like we're still kind of talking, nothing's getting formalized or brought into form. I hadn't started any paintings. And I just said, I'm sorry, but I keep hearing Storm say, the art has to start. And I was like, ready or not, you guys, the art has to start. Storm keeps saying that over and over. I know I can be really dense, but so it's just very interesting. That's the week. I might get emotional, but that's the week when we were in the thick of it. In the Twin Cities with ice and all that. And so I work every day. And so, but that Friday, the owner had decided to participate in retail stores shutting down to protest what was happening. So I said, oh, I have a day to start the art. So I did. So that's, with Storm's painting. I don't know if you can see it it's got glare there.
That's what I think it's glare no matter what, but that's
but
that painting came into being that day during all of that stuff that was happening in Minneapolis.
But there's a very specific thing about it because the paintings themselves are just 7 by 10 and they're not huge or anything. But that painting took me 9 hours to get it to have the attunement to my body that says it's complete. And it was very tricky. I don't know if you can see it, but there's lightning. Portraying him in a lightning storm.
Yeah.
But
his name is Storm.
Yeah, so I'm just listening. I don't know what I'm doing at any time in these paintings, but the horses do guide me. They do show up and they really do guide me. And so my body is my only compass of when it's right, when it's off. And So anyway, I finally get it done. And I'm like, oh my God, the art started. But then that's the next day. A friend and I were going to meet another friend over in Minneapolis in the morning for coffee and a little meetup. And that's the morning that Alex Preddy was shot, not very far away from where we were. And it just Storm's ability to be so present. It was just in my body. It just really helped me just stay in the calm but fully alert to what was happening. When we had to leave the coffee shop, that everybody went, it was horrified and closing it down and running out of there and whistles going and the whole ice thing. And so we went over to her apartment and stuff. But it was just, he knew the art had to start. I had to have, and that painting has really supported me the whole time.
Storm has a presence and he's a leader. A big part of this deck is Storm wanting to share his leader, and all of the horses wanting to share their different leadership styles with us, because we are so used to a leadership style that comes from the patriarchy and that is a power over leadership style. And that's not how my horses and my herd govern themselves at all. And in fact, Storm, he stepped into the herd as the lead stallion. And for those of you who know a little bit about horses, I've been working with horses for the last 47 years, and horses can be pretty big and rough and violent with each other, especially if you've got a new horse in a herd. There's a hierarchy within the herd, and there's usually challenges, and it can be pretty fierce. And I was a little nervous introducing him into my herd. Big Buddy, who was my heart horse, was the lead male. And I just asked him, I said, please don't hurt him, because I knew Storm could. Storm is that horse that you see, and he's kind of my dream horse. He's that horse that you see and you're just, whoa, who is that? And
Yeah.
everybody that sees Storm is just, whoa. And when you are attuned to energy work, the way that we all are, Storm sees right into you, into your pure potential. And there is something about just being with that horse that makes you want to live up to your pure potential. You don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is how he governed the herd. He never bit or kicked a single horse. I've never seen him be violent ever. It's never been power over. He stepped into the herd and he expected all of the others to play their roles, and they just wanted to, because they didn't want to disappoint him. The most violent thing I've ever seen him do was with Merlin and Jasper, when they're feeling their oats and they're challenging and they're biting and nipping at his rump. He will sometimes just have enough and back up toward them. And all when he just starts backing up, they go, oh shoot. they skedaddle. And those two are little rascals. They would try the patience of anyone. And so what the horses have been telling us is that there is this other way of being, and the time is now. And I say that, and the deck is not quite ready, and it's not going to be ready right away, but we do want to share as much of it as we can with you.
It's come a long way this week, though.
It's come a long way this week, a long way. And we are going to get it out as soon as we can, because we know that it's time, that we're all ready for that different way of being. Another theme that's come through is the divine feminine. And what are and also
That
around being reined in. Just how often have we been unable to express ourselves fully, to be fully authentic? There have been a few themes, and they're just showing us there's a new way of being coming, and they're here to support us and help us get to it and help us understand it and help us understand, what does that mean for me? How do I show up in this new way of being? But definitely leadership has been a theme that for me has been really prevalent and present. That my husband has often said, and it's caused me to realize that in my horse work over the decades, when I'm training horses, and I often decide to, why not make it more challenging and train the horses during a clinic with a whole bunch of observers and so on, then, and yeah, Wanda, I can do that. And my husband once said, like, how I'm almost like the leadership style. You have to be like an line pilot. If things go wrong, you can't go, oh my God. You have to be like, ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a little turbulence. It's all fine. I've done this before. And it is true. Like when you work with horses, you really have to manage all of those things. And Wanda, you were talking about if I could tell you about leadership with Storm. I think we're going to actually go into the energy so you can all feel it. I think, and just allow it to move through you. And we can talk about it a little bit. Joanna is going to draw a card for us and we'll see which one, but we'll go through that. We'll just quickly talk to some of the themes, and then I think I'm going to take us over into some of the cards, you guys. What were some of the themes that stood out to you guys of what the horses have been saying? I'm thinking like around the divine feminine, language, peace, the peace breath. What are some of the things? You know what, while we're contemplating that, let me just read you what the horses had me bring in for an introduction. In a world that feels chaotic and unsafe, there is a place that you can feel held, seen, and heard, and that is with a horse. It's not a place where nothing bad happens, but it's a place where you are known fully and completely, and where, if you are brave enough, you can discover who you truly are. Find your equilibrium, see the way forward, and leave filled with inspiration and hope. It's a place filled with beauty and reality that has no agenda, only wisdom. A place that invites you to step into your full potential, and a place of absolute honesty. I've been blessed that horses have always been a part of my life. First, my grandfather's Belgian draft horses, then at 10 years old, a lonely pony named Cindy, whose children had grown. Then my teenage love, Miraja. Our Olympic dreams never came to pass. I was horse crazy and became a riding instructor in my teens, and yet even with all of this, I was never comfortable with the way we treated our equine companions. So in 1999, when we bought a farm and welcomed the first horse into my herd, I began to do things differently. First, we started working with horses differently, with less pressure, no harsh bits or riding implements. It led to a different relationship with the horses, one that was not fear or dominance based. And while I know I'm not the first horseman to go there, I decided to take it as far as I could. What happened was fascinating. The horse people around me were threatened and became very angry with me. Who was I to do things so differently? To work in relationship with my horses. I was crazy. This was dangerous. People would get hurt. Only they didn't. Instead, the horses reached right back and began to help me. And guys, I may have a little trouble getting through this without emotion. Mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. They led me to Reiki and animal communication, then our learning together amplified. I invited people to Hidden Brook Farm to experience this relationship with the horses, and we began to learn and grow together. It was magical. There's something that happens when you stand in the presence of a horse, a breathing, feeling, powerful being with 4 feet on the earth and a heart larger than ours, and an ability to know things that we have forgotten how to hear. Horses have become my greatest teachers. They taught us about leadership and boundaries, about grief and courage, about softness and strength, and about the difference between force and true power, and how to stand in who I am without apology. And perhaps most of all, they've taught us that we are not meant to become someone else. We are meant to remember who we are and what we came here to be and do. This deck was born from that remembering. It came from my farm, from my herd, from years of listening to horses, working with Reiki, teaching animal Reiki and animal communication, and watching what happens when people allow the wisdom of horses to touch the places inside of them that are ready to awaken. This deck is a way to share my horses with the world. There are a few special horses from outside my herd who ask to be part of it too. We caution you, though, this deck may dramatically improve your life. It can help us step into our true power and potential to become all that we can be and find a completely new way of showing up in the world. The horses in this deck are not symbols in the abstract. They are real teachers. They have lived, they have loved, they have suffered, they have healed. They have challenged me, humbled me, comforted me, and caused me to show up again and again. Some came to me carrying wounds, some arrived as leaders, some were healers, some showed me what happens when power is out of balance. Some taught me about grief so deep it changes the very structure of your heart. And some came with such pure presence that being near them felt like standing in a field of pure possibility. That's Storm. Each horse carried wisdom and shared it generously. They showed us through their choices, their relationships, their body language, their healing journeys, their herd dynamics, their honesty, and the way they responded when humans were willing to listen. Horses don't flatter us. They don't care about our titles, our resumes, our carefully worded explanations, or the stories we tell ourselves that often help us avoid the truth. They respond to who we are. They instantly know what's beneath the surface. They know when we're afraid, when we're pretending, when we're trying too hard, when we've left our bodies. And they also know when we're ready to come home. When they trust us, they offer something extraordinary. They offer us a way back to ourselves. That is the heart of this deck. This deck is an invitation to come back into relationship with your own inner authority, your true potential, and your authentic leadership. The horses know about this. A healthy herd is not chaotic or control-based. It's not about crushing the spirit of another. A healthy herd is in relationship, community, in awareness, in communication, with boundaries, in trust. In a healthy herd, we find true belonging, where each horse gets to be who they are. That is what so many of us are longing for. If you're tired of being shaped by systems that insist we ignore our intuition, override our bodies, silence our truth, and abandon our gifts in order to be acceptable, if you are tired of being broken, feeling broken within a broken place, welcome to our herd. You are not broken. You are home. And one of the things Wanda was asking was about Storm. And so I'm just going to read you a little bit about Storm's story so that you can understand where he's coming from. I think I am. Oh, sorry, it's not here. I'll just have to tell you. Storm came to us. He was a horse that had been a stallion. He was spectacular, but he wasn't being used as a stallion. And the life of a stallion isn't very fun or exciting. They have to be kept away from the other horses, kept isolated. And that can be very hard on a horse. So I convinced the woman that had him to geld him. She had 9 stallions, and I said, look, and somebody was always getting loose, and she had 43 horses. And I said, you need to neuter some of your horses. And if you do, I will work with you. I went and trained 18 of her horses, and we held an auction at the end. And when it was his turn to go up to auction, I couldn't let him go. And so I had to, everybody else wanted him to. And so he had quite a large price that I really didn't know if I could afford, but I just couldn't. I'd never seen a horse like him, and he was my dream horse. And so I bid on him, and he was just amazing to work with as a gelding. And he was a horse that was at the shows, he would win everything, and I was smitten. And at the end of our week of training her horses, she said, what would you like in return? And I said, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about that. And she said, what if I give you Storm? And actually, I'm gonna get emotional again. And I said, but I bid such a high price on him. And she said, and your work with us was worth every bit of that. We put in very long days with those 18 horses that week, and we took them from 0 to 100. and to ready to. They didn't know anything. And we had them with riders on their backs, confident, able to be in front of a crowd, able to do all these things. And she said, it was absolutely worth it for me. You don't have to pay for him. You just take him home. Yay. And she actually even drove him to the house along with Jasper for my daughter, who was assisting me, Kathleen. And she brought Autumn to my house as well, who one of my students had purchased, and Piper, who another student had purchased. So they loaded the 4 horses up and brought them home. And Storm is the biggest thing, Wanda, that I'm going to say about Storm. You sometimes have heard me talk about not bracing, about just taking the brace out of your body and allowing. And you can physically do that. You can let the brace go into the earth. Storm does that. And not only that, he sees the pure potential in everyone and in everything. And I'm trying to think of what year that was. I don't remember. Storm's been with me more than a decade. I think he was 10 when he came, and he's 24 now. So maybe he's been with me about 14 years, something like that. Yeah, 14 years. And the last 14 years, I've just been observing. And what he is pure presence. He is pure presence. And everyone, and what he's telling us is every one of us has the ability to do that as well. Last question for you guys, and then we're going to draw a card and go into the energy. What's your favorite card? And what card spoke the most to you?
Oh.
It's hard to choose a favorite.
Well, I don't know if
As much as Storm is my favorite card, look at that one of my heart horse.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal as well. A mighty heart.
Oh.
And Storm, his card is called Disturbance because he can be in the midst of an absolute disturbance and he just holds it together. He does not let anything. He is such pure presence. What is the word? He's just so comfortable in himself that he doesn't let anything external to him impact him. And I think he's telling us that is one of the things that the world needs right now. Yeah. What's your favorite? Sure. Yes.
We all laugh now because
this showed up.
We say this
it
a
became
lot
a
now.
theme in the week.
Oh, I can't see it. It's the no card.
One of the things they wanted to teach us was how to hold boundaries, because
Yeah.
so many of us that are kind and, want to do healing and so on, we struggle with saying no. So I'll just hold it up here where I've got a little better lighting. This is blue and the word no.
Yeah.
And I'll let you tell your story and I'll tell a little bit about the story of blue.
Yeah. The first night I was here, we were all wrapped up in, okay, we gotta start this. And we were all getting into those little details and trying to stay in the energy. And so when we went to bed that night, my mind was just going and going. And I fell asleep for a little bit. And then I woke up in the night, and anytime my mind would start to turn on, this card just went whoop.
No.
No.
You're not allowed to do
that.
Yeah.
No, you're not in the head. And Pam, if you can hold the card up again, you can see the radiance coming out of the heart from blue. Yeah. And what blue is teaching us is it's time to give this a little break and drop into your heart. You can say no to this mind of it going on and just be present with your heart. That's such a special gift that we can give ourselves. And so I just practiced that through the night, but it was a bit of a sleepless night, I'm not gonna lie, where he was very persistent and he just kept coming in. Yeah. No. She,
Yeah.
which is, yeah. So it was a really powerful lesson for me.
Blue is one of the horses that I don't know very well, but I had to include her anyway. And the reason I had to include her is that there's a horse named Chief that I trained for my friend Joyce. Chief had been a stallion, and so he had been separate from the other horses, and he had never learned horse body language and he had never learned respect, and he had never learned to get along with other horses. And so and he's gorgeous, he's stunning, he's an incredible horse. And when I kept him with me to train him. And when I needed to turn him out with the herd, he was that horrible, power over, violent leader. He attacked Storm and ripped a piece of skin off of Storm's neck. And he and his father would sometimes my friend's house would sometimes almost kill each other if one of them managed to jump a fence and get in with the other. And so he just had no understanding. And Storm was just like, I'm not going to deal with this. So he just empowered Simba, who was much larger, to run interference. And so anytime that Chief was going to do one of his violent sneak attacks on Storm to try to take over the leadership, Storm didn't even lift an eyebrow after that first attack. Simba deny and just would continually run interference. And Simba was almost twice the size of Chief, so Chief couldn't do anything. And so he kind of learned, it took us it was a couple of months. He kind of learned how to be not so violent and not inappropriate in a herd. But I was concerned about where he would go, that depending on it, would the other horses be able to stand up to him because he wasn't appropriate with other horses. I needn't have worried. One of my students bought him, and I told her, and she had also bought another horse I had trained from somewhere else named Frankie. And Frankie was just so sweet and so delightful. And I was like, oh dear, I hope he's going to be okay with Frankie. And she let me know, I think my pony will keep them in line. And I said, all right, if you're sure. And she let me know Frankie didn't. Frankie was just completely obedient to Blue. Blue ruled the roost. And so I touched base after she got him home, and she said, he's terrified of her. She said he never, and she's gone on to show that horse and just do amazing things. And he's completely appropriate and Blue is nowhere near as big as those two boys. And she just keeps them in line. So we were like, yeah, I think we need her in the deck.
Oh, yes.
I asked my student Aaliyah, I asked her permission, and she said absolutely. So both Chief and Blue are in our deck to describe those ways of being, those two phenomena. And that with the right help, that Chief did come around and the right boundaries. Yeah. What about you? What card would you want to?
I would just say you can't go with a favorite, but I will say surprising. The most surprising card in the painting experience for me was with Lizzie. Other horses, there was one a week. A horse would want to be painted, and so I would just clip it along. But then I was trying to also paint all of, at least get all of Pam's herd painted. So then Lizzie just wouldn't show up, or the pictures were off. It was just, and then all of a sudden I just started getting guidance to watch these really strange YouTubes on quantum physics. So anyway, I finally figured I'll do this photo from her. It was boring, but I did it. Just painted her, and her coloring was not easy. Nothing about just painting her head and neck was easy. So I finally get that done, and then I keep hearing I want spirals. I want squiggles. And I'm like, I just worked for hours painting you, and now you want me to just paint all over you with spirals? What is this about? So I said, okay, horses are in charge. So I just started with little spirals on the neck saying goodbye to my painting. But then it got into the background, and I just kept following the flow. And then through it, just, I don't know how to describe how it happens, but all of a sudden she just took me into the quantum field. I just was in quantum. That's where you are. I've experienced it out in the pasture with the herd, so I knew what it felt like, but I did not expect that from Ms. Lizzie here. But anyway,
presents as such a little sweetheart, and she is. She never puts a foot out of place. She's just anything you ask for, she's why yes. And she's like a little Southern belle. She's just delightful.
So I was telling Pam, yeah, when I was watching those videos, they have the theory of everything that they know so far is in this equation. And she goes, oh, that needs to be on the card then. So Lindsay has this quantum physics equation on her card because that's where she lives.
Yeah.
She can go. Anyway, I did not expect that from Lizzie. I will just say that.
That's it.
So.
Yeah.
So I do have these little adventures every time I step into painting one of these paintings.
Well, Joanne, tell us a little bit about some of what you got with the spreads.
They're coming to me in, oh
Some
God.
of the names.
Oh,
I love the names of the spreads. The
Yeah.
way that
The
they're coming
names.
to her. It's like nothing I've heard before. It's so cool.
So we have the welcoming spread. We have pure potential spread, soulfulness spread. That's one of our combining words.
It's a word that came through. Yeah.
The brace spread, the pasture spread, the unseen spread, for example. An invitation would be sometimes the very thing asking to be seen is also the source of our greatest gifts. This spread helps reveal what is seeking your attention and the gift that it carries. So that was a fun one. And then there's one around grief.
Yeah.
And okay.
Your turn.
My turn. After Bud and Dawn and Star were buried, I was walking around the site and I was struggling, and a clear message came through, and the guidance was be like Bud, do Dawn, speak like Star. So I created a spread around kind of ways to navigate some grief. Now I can't see my screen.
Open gate.
Yeah, the open gate spread,
Yeah.
the tempering spread, but we'll get into that maybe. Tempering is a whole other thing. And then the hay strings, the unbridled spread, the blind spot spread around perspective. And one actually came to me while we've been in this podcast, of course, or this Zoom. And it became clear to me that we all kind of struggled with, like, how do we start this process? You explained doodling, and that kind of created your flow. And for me, I actually one morning used the cards, and it got me out of the flow, but then I was also guided to go for a walk and do some movement. And so I think that might be one of the cards that we might pull tonight, is just like, how do we begin this? Like, how do each of us bring this energy forward within ourselves and all together kind of captivating that oneness?
And the oneness has shown up. And I am going to just ask you to do a little, as brief as possible, explanation around the tempering.
Oh, gosh.
One of the things that's
Okay.
really clear for us is Big Buddy showed us the importance of being fully developed and healed and comfortable in our divine masculine and feminine. And he showed us that the masculine and feminine don't compete, that they love each other.
Yeah.
And that they're meant to be in union, they're meant to be balanced, they're meant to be equal. And that the patriarchal society and the way that we have been doing things is just as injurious and damaging to men as it is to women. This isn't the divine feminine doesn't compete with the divine masculine. They love each other. They can be harmonious. And so that's been one of the messages. And so as we were in that, a meditation with that, you came out of the meditation and talked to us about how that happens.
It was late at night.
We have been working long days.
Yeah, and everybody was planning on going to bed. Slipped into bed after the meditation. But I woke up or came to, and immediately got the concept of tempering. And it's not about isolating these two dualities, let's say. It's about kind of working with them together in that oneness. And the imagery I got was making a chocolate cake from I used to be in the culinary field. And when we would have to mix our chocolate mousse, we had to temper. We had to heat up the chocolate and then heat up the eggs and temper the two together because you can't add cold eggs to warm chocolate. They don't mix. So it's about tempering that into something that then can't be separated again. And so that really struck me. And then we ended up staying up for 2 hours. I kept everyone awake.
It was all good. It was such a beautiful image that you came back with. And we realized that it is going to be difficult to move from a patriarchal society into a more balanced society right away. And we also have known that this card deck is meant to be a guidepost or a guiding force in that evolution that we're in the midst of, I believe, right now. And so Joanne's explanation of tempering was like, of course, we can't just go flip from one to the other. We need to blend and allow them to work together and temper and come into that beautiful harmony
Yeah.
and balance.
We don't want curdled cake. We want silky chocolate smooth.
So there's been a lot of deep insights. But for right now, let's ask the deck, shall we? What are the people that are with us, both online and listening after? Yeah, could you go ahead and pull a card or spread, whatever you're guided to do?
I feel like it's just the beginning.
It's the beginning.
Because why go through everything if we don't know where to start, is what it came to me. Like,
Okay.
yeah. And I will create a spread around this or a card pull around it. But I think we've been in this energy for a little bit, but maybe we could just all take a collective breath and just.
Good idea.
Yeah. It's always good.
We get very excited.
We do. I need to calm down sometimes. So we're just going to ask the cards. Where do we begin?
What do they want to talk to us about?
Yeah, who wants to show up to support us in this beginning?
Who showed up?
Unbridled connection.
Of course. So Dawn showed up with
Yeah.
unbridled
Here, I
connection.
can pass you the card, Pam, if you'd like.
We
You
have
have
it. Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
As I'm surfing through to find it. So the Breaker Dawn, who really started this whole thing, it's no surprise
Right.
that she would come through. And one of the things I love about this card is how, Helen, it's almost got an infinity symbol with it. And it's also heaven and earth. And just the way that the energy is moving around Dawn. And every time she showed up, Dawn was such a dear. She showed up at my farm and she had been a broodmare and nobody really saw her for her own potential. And I really saw something in her. I really liked her. And I was able to get her at a really affordable price because the people that had her didn't really see her as more than something to have babies. And she actually is the whole reason that we started carrying essential oils because she lost a baby that was related to Secretariat, who, for those of you who know horses, he was probably, even if you don't know horses, you know who Secretariat is. He was the most famous horses of all time. And so she lost a baby that was related to Secretariat and she went into deep grief. And the essential oils was the one thing that I could do to help her and help her come out of that grief. But Dawn has been an incredible teacher. She was actually blind in the last couple of years of her life, but her boyfriend, she was a bit of a cougar. She had a much younger boyfriend, Big Buddy. He would be her eyes. And at the dusk and dawn, when she had the hardest time seeing, she would put herself in the barn. And she was low in the herd one time. A couple of times she got beat up in the barn by some of the more aggressive horses. That was before storms time. And he started, so Bud started going in the barn with her to protect her. Watching the two of them, I think that's one of the reasons Bud left when he did, is because he just missed her so much. He left just 11 months after she did. They were just such a beautiful couple and so lovely to witness. So this is Breaker Dawn, Unbridled Connection.
And I think she wants to say, when we first start this experience, when you receive the invitation, if you haven't already, you will. It's kind of working with that not fighting, sorry, that's the wrong language, but allowing that brace within yourself to release of whatever that might be coming up. And she was clear when she told me, when you release that brace, you receive the connection. And to me, that was just such a beautiful message from her coming in. But yeah.
Didn't we look up unbridled?
And when we Unbridled has been a bit of a theme recently. Horse Canada has done, the magazine has done an article on the way that we work without bridles, with just a rope halter. And we've started to realize that was one of the earlier steps in moving into that different type of relationship with the horses, that more, that we were more on a balanced footing. And one of the things that's been showing up around Unbridled, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what the card says now, but one of the things that really showed up around that was the fact that many of us are bridled and harnessed and reined in our lives. And what would happen if we were to just say, I don't accept that bridle anymore, because we have the right to do that. I think each of us, when we were feeling into this card, each of us were really brought some of the times in our lives when we were held back, made to conform, felt encouraged to play small, all of those things that we felt very much like. I don't know if any of you have ever seen, sometimes you've got a horse that is in a very heavy bridle, and the hands are really yanking the neck in, and we all have felt like that at times in our lives. And I used to ride dressage. I was never comfortable with that real tight, heavy two bits and all the things. And, I think what happened when I took took that all away from my horses was remarkable. And we have been looking at parallels of when we decided, no, I don't accept the controlling behaviors, the relationships and jobs where I have to make myself into something else. What happens then? And I think that's...
Yeah. And instead of fighting that back and pushing back and racing against that and pushing, and it just gets tighter and tighter.
Right.
But when we just kind of
lose the brace.
Yeah. And the bridle and just drop it into the earth, even like just, then you receive that connection.
But it's a whole new foundation of how to be in relationship, as we were discovering. Because I think even Pam ran into some feelings about systems in her roller coastering that we were all doing. So I'm just saying, these are deep things that cannot be bypassed on our way to our full empowerment. And I'll just be honest, I never anticipated I would ever be. I was an artist, I could do paintings, but even the horses directed me to do that one for Pam that Colleen said, oh, that's a transmission piece. And I'm like, what? It's like, no, horses. The horses had directed me to paint this painting. It was really embarrassing to bring it to Pam. This is from your herd. They want you to have this painting. That was in 2019 when you were becoming officially the licensed teacher. They wanted her to have this kind of painting. I didn't understand what it was, what I was doing, but Colleen did.
Yes.
And so she just named, oh, that's a transmission piece. Ready or not, whatever. I guess I have this thing about creating transmission pieces. And with all of us here, to me, this deck is about truly the person would receive transmission connection from these horses who have volunteered to help us move forward. So a true interactive.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Guys, as we move into our meditation tonight, and for those who were wondering about that way of being like storm, that's our meditation, is pure potential, just stepping into our own pure potential. It is a meditation that came through for the deck, and I'd like to share that with you tonight. As I do, or before I do, I have a poll that I'm going to launch, and you don't have to do this now. You can do it after the meditation, but you all may come back at a different time. As I mentioned, we're struggling to figure out what the title of this deck should be. We've been thinking a working title has been Horse Wisdom, but we're like, this is more than wisdom. This is active, this is real, this as horses are active and purely in the present. And so we haven't found the words that are powerful, quite powerful enough yet and we may not have them. What I wanted to start with is, what's your favorite title? And what's your favorite subtitle of what we have? And what I would also like to ask you to do is, if you have something else that we don't have there, if you would drop it in the chat. I really firmly believe we are going to get the title from you. Please, please. I know. Please help us. But for right now, I am also going to invite you into the energy so you can feel it completely before answering those questions, and maybe some of you are going to get the title fully formed as we do this.
It would.
It would be amazing. And we're going to go into returning to our pure potential today, which is really what every one of us is and have the ability to experience. So I'm just going to invite you all to take a moment to close your eyes and bring your focus inwardly. And I just invite you to imagine that you're at the top of the driveway to my farm, Hidden Brook Farm, ready to leave the noise of the world behind and enter into a quieter place. A place where nothing is demanded of you. A place where you're simply allowed to be and be yourself. And as you come down the driveway, just notice the feeling of being welcomed, of being seen and heard and acknowledged with no need to explain yourself. This is the definition of relationship, partnership. A place where every being is free to bring their gifts, their wisdom, their presence forward for the good of the whole. And in this space, you are recognized, that you are not recognized for what you do. Instead, you're recognized for who you are. Take a deep breath and just step into that beingness now. And from this place of just being who you are, you can invite your awareness to move inward. A place inside of you that holds your pure potential. There's nothing for you to do or earn or create. This place of pure potential already exists. It's already here. And all we're doing is just noticing, where does it live in your body? Is it in your chest, your belly, your hands? Maybe it's in your breath. Wherever it is, just notice, and if you're not sure, it's okay to guess. It's generally the first thing that comes into your mind. But as we become aware of our pure potential, I invite you to notice, are there any layers over top of it? Things like worry or fear or expectations or old beliefs. And there's nothing to do here. You don't need to release them or remove them. I'm just inviting you to notice them at this time. And I want you to be aware that the layers can exist. It doesn't impact your pure potential. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be waiting there for you. And I invite you to repeat after me, either out loud or within. I am safe. I am loved. I call back my power. I call back my voice. I call back my clarity, my truth, my heart, and that deep inner knowing. I return now to myself. And I invite you to just notice what has been shifting, what has been coming up. And also notice, is there anything within you that expanded as it was witnessed? Your power, your voice, your truth, your heart, that feeling of safety, being loved, your inner knowing. What you'll notice is that pure potential grows as we pay attention to it. I'd like to invite you to circle back to this meditation as often as you need to just encourage that growth, or just becoming aware as you're doing your Reiki. Send Reiki to your pure potential. And now we're going to imagine that this potential is not just within you, it's also reflected back to you through the eyes of others. Think of the people in your life, the horses, the animals who reflected back to you who you are. I think it's one of the reasons we all love dogs. They reflect who we are. And now the presence of my herd is reflecting to you who you are. And that recognition that you are not alone on this journey. Not only are we all together and are we all rooting for you, but horses come here to this earth to walk beside us, to walk beside humanity, to reflect our emotions and our energy and our truth, and to remind us of our power without any demands. They see who we are beneath the noise. I invite you to see that too. And until you remember who you are, until we remember who we are, the horses are going to keep reflecting that back to us. So take a few moments now and just connect with your own pure potential. You may have questions for it, or you may just want to sit with it. There's no rush. We're just going to stay here for about 12 breaths together. you're ready to come back, just begin to bring your awareness back, bringing your attention to your eyes, slowly opening your eyes and returning. Bring your pure potential and your awareness of it back with you, knowing that you can return here anytime to this moment of truth. Your pure potential is always there. It never leaves you. You can connect with it always. It simply waits until you're ready for it. So thank you so much for being with us today, and for those listeners who aren't with us taking the poll, we welcome your input as well. Feel free to send an email. My email address is in the notes of the podcast. And for those who are with us in real time, if you could answer the poll and maybe stay on and give us a little bit of feedback, we would really and truly appreciate it at this time. Thank you so much for joining us. We are grateful to you. We love you. We appreciate you, and the horses do too. Bless you. Thank you. We appreciate all that you do in the world. Namaste. And thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.